With the arrival of Ironheart on the small screen, I want to take the opportunity to reflect. To this end, Riri Williams is a great springboard, but her story is just one of many. What interests me more than her specifically is what she is, which is a legacy character. So with this video, I'd like to muse upon the nature of legacy characters and why some fail while others flourish. Let's start with the basics. What is a legacy character? First, let's call them LCs so I don't get on your and my nerves. Second, an LC is an individual that assumes the mantle of a previously established persona. Dick Grayson rises from Robin to Batman, Wally West digivolves from Kid Flash to Flash, Scott Lang becomes Ant-Man. Now, you probably noticed that not all of those examples are the same, which brings me to a delineation we're gonna make just for this video. That is between veteran LCs and novice LCs. A veteran LC is already established prior to taking on the mantle. Think Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. Whereas a novice LC takes on the mantle as they are introduced. So Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. We'll maintain our focus on novice LCs for this video because their receptions tend to be far more mixed than their established counterparts, for obvious reasons. And let's jump into our next question. Why is a legacy character? To answer that, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of Sideways? Damage? What about Alpha? Or Warrior Egg?
What?
Okay, that last one I made up. But the first three were new heroes that were supposed to be fresh new faces to lead their own titles. And they failed. At best, we'll put you boys in the back of a spread or on a team we're trying to launch. At worst, we'll pretend they never existed. Okay, now let's do the opposite. Kamala Khan, Robbie Reyes, Jaime Reyes.
Huh?
No, they're not related, you racist. These LCs enjoy a popularity that, while not necessarily equal to their predecessors, is significantly higher than most original characters. In part because they received a boost from assuming the mantle. If you want to make a real-world comparison, then in a sense these characters are kinda like Nepo babies. The exposure they receive is amplified by familiarity, both with producers and the audience. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to prosper if you don't have a leg up. The point I'm trying to drive home is that having a leg up is a huge bonus in terms of getting greenlit and getting eyes on pages or screens. The clearly biggest winner of this legacy contest is Miles Morales, and I don't think that is coincidental. Especially since A, Spider-Man is one of the biggest superheroes, like size-wise, and B, Miles' introductory arc was good, but not amazing. Claiming the title claims some of the fame, and it brings eyes from lovers and haters alike. As an aside, I think Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel had a better introduction and stronger characterization than Miles, at least at first. She's a mutant now though, and I cannot support that. Anyway, on to our next question. How is a legacy character successful? Finagled that one just right.
Success!
We'll get to Riri soon, I promise, but first, you ever heard of Danny Ketch?
Who?
He's the Ghost Rider. Or specifically everyone's least favorite Ghost Rider. Yeah, everyone knows Johnny Blaze and Robbie Reyes, but poor old Danny doesn't get love from anyone. Just straight up. Not even his artists, I mean, look!
What the hell is even that?
But why? After all, he showed up before Robbie, yet he was outblazed. In fact, I'd go so far as to hypothesize that if you didn't specifically grow up with Danny, he's not your favorite. But how is that possible? Well, it comes down to something I like to call the proximity paradox. It's this logical fallacy that duplication engenders success. Think Avengers 2, everyone's least favorite, copying Avengers 1. Or someone who makes a funny joke then uses it over and over again until it's not funny anymore. It's a creator running to what's comforting instead of trying something challenging. And it's boring. Danny Ketch is nobody's favorite because why would he be? He's a Johnny Blaze duplicate, so there's no reason to choose him over the OG, and Robbie is more unique, so there's no reason to choose him over a newer incarnation. Why would I want Joe Garrison as the new Punisher when his origin is that his family was killed and he goes on a revenge spree? That's literally just Frank Castle. Meanwhile, Kyle Rayner doesn't have a military background like OG Green Lantern Hal Jordan. He's an artist. So despite having the exact same power set, Kyle's constructs are more elaborate and fantastical, which sets him apart. The comic version of Kamala Khan is nothing like Captain Marvel in that her powers are about being loosey-goosey, not shiny-brighty. At least until she became a freaking mutie. Ted Kord is a genius billionaire with a bunch of gadgets, whereas Jaime Reyes wears an alien suit that is his gadget. You get what I'm getting at, right? What makes an LC is their composition. Powers, costume, you name it. Assume the mantle, but don't duplicate it. Reforge it. That loops us back, finally, to our star, Riri Williams. My biggest problem with Riri is that she is too similar to Tony Stark, which is why she's not as popular as Miles or Kamala. The show goes in a different direction of incorporating magic and crime into her story, which is better, but I'm gonna put my money where my pretty mouth is and try to one-up it. Let me pitch an alternate reality real quick. I'm fine with Riri reverse engineering Stark tech at a young age. For anyone who's mad at that or think it's undeserved, I'll point to Peter Parker inventing web fluid as a teenager, or Valeria Richards doing anything at age -6. Now then, what if Riri was different than Tony in the most fundamental ways? Imagine a Riri that acts arrogant and self-assured, but is secretly deeply insecure. Imagine a Riri that is a die-hard perfectionist. Not just in science, but in trying to have the best conversations, be the best friend, be the best daughter, girlfriend, etc. She doesn't want to be heroic, she wants to be flawless. She doesn't want to be praised, she wants to be worshipped. And this directly affects what kind of superhero she is. Tony, at his core, builds exoskeletons, whereas Riri, at her core, builds an endoskeleton. She turns the tech inward, enhancing her body one piece at a time based, at least initially, upon reverse-engineered Stark designs, which allows her to push the envelope while simultaneously putting interesting limiters on her. Because I mean, she is only human. For now. In fact, this version only ever begins her superhero career not in pursuit of heroism, but to gauge her progress towards perfection. This Riri's story is about the pursuit of evolution and what's lost or gained along the way. She becomes a hero and even finds meaning in heroism. But that heroism runs parallel to her cybernetic metamorphosis. As she tweaks and tweaks, we and the people around Riri start to question what parts of her are human and what are machine. Does she stop and realize that she doesn't need to be flawless? Or does she lose her humanity to become something new? Does she find a balance, or are the scales left permanently uneven? Does she come to understand the flaws of perfectionism or succumb to them? Who knows? That's for the story to explore. And that's my point. We don't want Iron Man 2. Nobody wants Iron Man 2. Or Ghost Rider 2 either. Yeah, I haven't forgotten you, freak. We want something all new. Something all different. No, not you. That's all for this one. Like and subscribe, because I've got more rewrites, fixes, essays, and whatnot in the works. And until the next one, cheers!